Hello YouTube, so I do a quick video here. I've been asked to do a start to finish on installing the software for the interface board. So that's what this video is going to be about. I hope it won't be too long. If it is, I apologize. I'd rather have it be a little too long to give you the information you need to get this going easily for you. So hopefully it won't be, but if it is, so be it. Also, too, I'm using a different computer than I normally would, and I just got everything kind of installed on this computer, my video software and all that stuff. So I hope the quality ends up being okay when it's all said and done. I don't have a lot of time to dial this computer in. Normally I don't use this computer, but I found out that when doing a long video, my other computer does not like all the video processing and it gets really laggy. So I'm using a different computer because this video is going to need a lot of video processing to make this video. So also too, I'd like to mention that I'm doing this video in my GMRS shack. I'm in Wisconsin. It's cold out today. I do have heat in my GMRS shack, but I turn it off because I don't want the blower running in the background when I make this video. So I may pause the video depending on how long it takes or whatnot to fire up the furnace, let it heat up, and then turn it back off and then continue the video. On your end, you're only going to see a quick pause, but I may have to do that. So just to be aware of that. So now, the video that I'm going to do, I'm going to use my mini PC on how to set up the software for the interface board. Now this will apply to a desktop, to a laptop. A mini PC is just what it is. It's a computer that doesn't have a built-in monitor and all that stuff. So, and the Windows version that I'm going to be using is Windows 11 Pro. This will apply to Windows 10, okay? So I just want you to be aware of that. That's what the computer I'm going to be using. I will be installing my USB DB9, my USB sound card. Now, I'm not going to go to every little detail like how to download a file, how to install programs. I'm going to assume you know how to do that. So I'm going to start it off as the software is already installed, but we got to go ahead and start setting things up. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead. We're going to go to the mini PC screen here. And what I have installed, all these links are on my forum. Also, what I'm telling you in this video is also on my forum under the interface board. The thread is called First Time Setup, must read. Click on that. What I'm telling you is exactly on there with pictures, with video links, everything you need. So you can refer to that along with this video. So I just want to point that out before I forget. Now, so what I have installed here, I have the date and time, COM port sharing, AnyDesk remote software, Simplex repeater, and Zello. Now, I'm not going to show you how to set up AnyDesk. You can find other videos for that. But I'm going to show you how to set up everything else. And also, too, I like to mention, before I forget, the COM port sharing software is only needed if you want to run 3 programs that use COM ports at a time. If you're not going to do that, then you do not need to install the COM port sharing software. Let's just say you just want Zello. That's all you want. Then you don't need the COM port sharing software. Now, the COM port sharing software is free to a certain degree. I've mentioned other videos before. There's like after 14 days, I believe it is, it won't permanently keep your setting. And what that means is if you reboot your computer, you're going to have to reset up the COM port sharing software. That's just the way it is. unless you want to pay for it. And the COM port, I think the price is kind of pricey on that. I'm still trying to find a free version that doesn't do that. I haven't found one yet. If I do, I'll obviously let you know. So, but again, you only need the COM port sharing software if you're going to run more than one program that require COM ports. Okay? So, in my case today, I want to run 3 different programs, and I'll explain why once we start going. So, after you get everything installed, the first thing we got to do, and this is only for Zello, we got to get to the config file for Zello. Remember, we got to put Zello in gateway mode. Now, the Zello version that I'm using is on my forum. Do not download Zello Work. It will not work for this. So don't go to Zello's website and try to download it, because I don't even know if they even have that version on there anymore. I think it's buried somewhere on their site. Go to my forum and download the right Zello version. So make sure you do that. Don't even try to download. If you type in Zello, it's going to give you the Zello Work, and that's not going to work for this. So make sure you get that other version from my forum. So once Zello's installed, you got to install Zello first. We got to find that config file, and I'm going to show you the best way to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, right here, the little folder, File Explorer they call it. We're going to click on this PC. We're going to click on the hard drive. Now we're going to go up here to View. Now Windows 10, I think they have a little different, but I think it's still up here. We got, find your View tab. We're going to click on that. We're going to go to Show, and we want to do 2 things. We want to do hidden items. We want to check that. We're going to go back up here. We're going to go back to View. We're going to go to Show again, and we're going to do File Extensions. File name extensions. You don't have to do this, but I like doing it. I like to see what I'm doing. So now we're going to go under Users folder. Now here, in my case, it's GMST. Whatever name you logged into your computer is the folder you want. Okay? You can see there's a public one. This is the one that I logged into. When I click on that, now app data should be right on top. If you did not do these steps right, you will not see this. Okay? See where it says app data? That's the folder we got to go to. Watch what happens if I did not do this right. Let's go ahead and undo these. See, it's gone? Yeah, so you got to make sure you do this, or you'll never find it. You're going to be pulling your hair out. Go back to hidden. Check that. App data. And you can kind of tell because it's a little different color. It's just telling you that normally it's a hidden file. We're going to click on that. We're going to go to roaming. And Zello desktop. Now, if you did install Zello, obviously Zello desktop folder won't be here. So you got to install Zello. So we do that. Now, what I like to do, you don't have to do this, but I do it just because, is I take, here's the file, I click on it, I right click it, and I do, actually, let's do this. Let's make this folder bigger here. I'm not used to Windows 11 here, so bear with me. We're going to right click on it. We're going to drag it out. We're going to do a copy here. We're going to make another copy of that. See how it says Zello copy? That's the default. So if we mess up, we got the original. We can go back and rename it. Okay. So now the next thing we got to do on the Zello config, we got to highlight it, right click it, open with, and we're going to select Notepad and Always. So that way, see how it opens? We can actually open it. So that's what we want to do. Now the next thing we're going to do to make this easier, let me make my window small. We're going to drag and make a shortcut. Keyword shortcut. Don't move the file to the desktop. We want to do a shortcut. So we're going to highlight it, right click and hold down the right mouse button. Move it out here. Release the right click on the mouse, create a shortcut here. See how it has a little arrow in there? And it says shortcut. Okay? That's what you want to do. Don't do this. Let me show you if I can even do it here. Don't do this. That's not the same. I just moved that file out of that folder. That's not the same. Don't do that. You got to do the shortcut. If you do that, don't worry. We can put it back. We just drag it back. So it says move to Zello desktop. There it is. So make sure it says shortcut. Otherwise, you're going to be spinning your wheels and you're going to be pulling your hair out. Why ain't my Zello going into gateway mode? So make sure you do it like I showed you. So now we have it on here. The good news, we can close this. Now, to go in and out of gateway mode, we can just click on here. It'll open up a notepad like this. Watch. See? We're all set. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do here is, once I get to this editing, I'll pause the video because I got to scroll past my password, and I obviously don't want that to be showing. But I'll show you how to edit that in a little bit. So now we've done that. So now we got that ready. The next step is we're going to plug in the USB DB9. So what we're going to do, let me get my mouse here. Now I'm trying to remember, truth be told, I don't remember on Windows 10, I don't remember if it automatically detected it or if I had installed a driver. But I'm going to show you how to install the driver if you have a problem. Now, one thing that you might want to make sure, when you get your USB DB9 adapter, make sure it's compatible with the Windows version that you have. I had one gentleman, this is about almost a year ago, he could not get his DB9. He was pulling his hair out. And I asked him, I says, well, which one did you get? Is it for Windows 11? He says, oh, yeah, it is. Well, he went to go double check, and guess what? It was only for Windows 10. So he sent it back, got the right one, and his problem was fixed. So make sure when you purchase this, it's for the Windows you have or going to be using your repeater on. Okay? So we're going to plug this in. Okay? And like I said, I don't remember if Windows 10 automatically detected it or not. But we're going to show you how to install the driver nevertheless. So let's go back to the computer here. I plugged it in. Now we're going to go down to here to search. We're going to type in Device Manager. Oh, see it right there? We're going to type that in right here. We're going to click on that. And I can tell already Windows 11 did not detect my USB DB9. And how I can tell that, because right here you can see the exclamation mark and it's not correct. So to fix that, I'm going to unplug it from the computer. This page will automatically refresh. Watch what happens when I unplug it. I'm unplugging it from the PC. You can't see me do this. Take my word, I'm unplugging it. Now it refresh. So now it's not there. We're going to keep this off to the side because I'm going to install the driver. Now I'll put a link to this. This USB DB9 that I have is the CH340 version. Now most USB DB9s that you buy are probably going to be the CH340 version. But remember, there are some FTDI versions, and those will work, but you're going to find that driver is different than the CH340. Remember that Raspberry Pi video I did? I had to get a different USB DB9. We had to install a different driver. So there are two different types of USB DB9s. They both will work. You just got to make sure you have the right driver if Windows does not detect it. And you just saw what happens when it's not detected. So I have to install the driver. Now I'll post a link either in the description or on my forum where to download this driver for the CH340. And I might even tell you in the description when you go buy your adapter, I know for a fact it will tell you if FTDI, that's a different driver. If it doesn't tell you, then most likely it's a CH340 version. But you can always email and ask the seller. So now we clicked on the little installer here. We're going to hit install, and we got to wait. And if this works out like it should say successful. So we just got to wait. And successful, so that's good news. We're off to a good start. We're going to hit OK. Then we're going to close this. Okay. Now, we're going to plug in the USB DB9 again. We're going to see what it says. Let's plug that in. Refreshes, and it looks like it installed. You can see it right here. Ports. There it is, right there. COM3. It's installed properly. So remember COM3, because we're going to need to know that when we do our COM port sharing software, which I'm going to do next here. Matter of fact, we're going to leave this out. We're going to leave this window. We're going to minimize this. Now we're going to set up the COM port sharing. Now, again, I'm only going to be... I need the COM port sharing because I want to run 3 programs at once. 3 programs that require COM ports. So we got to find shared ports. We're going to double click on this. Remember, COM port 3 is our original one. We're going to click on that. We're going to hit create, and it's going to make it COM port 1 now. We're going to hit create. And voila. Now, remember I told you, since I'm using the trial version, once my trial version expires and I boot the computer up, I'm going to have to redo this step I just showed you. So if you, after 14, I think it's 14 days, after 14 days is up and you got to reboot your computer for whatever reason, and all of a sudden now your Zello is not working, it's saying COM port failed, don't panic, just come to this screen, redo what I just showed you, reshare the COM port again. That's the only drawback about using the this version without paying for it. I'm trying to find a free version that doesn't do that. If I find something, I'll let you know. But for the time being, this is what it is. So we got that done. So now it's COM port 1. So any program, whether it's Zello, whether it's date and time, whether it's simplex, it's going to be COM port 1. That's our virtual COM port. What we're doing is, since COM port 3 is the hardware and the COM port sharing software created a virtual where we can access that COM port with many programs as we want. You cannot do that without having a virtual type of a COM port. Otherwise, if you try to do it, it's going to say COM port in use, and you're not going to be able to select it more than once when running a program that needs the COM ports. So that's the purpose of COM port sharing, if you're wondering. I want to run 3 programs at once. If you do not need to do that, if you're just going to run Zello by itself, then you don't need the COM port sharing. If you're going to run date and time by itself, you don't need the COM port sharing. If you're going to run repeater ID by itself, then you don't need the COM port sharing. Then you would select your COM port number. In this case, it was 3. The shared one is COM port 1. But if I was just going to run one program, I would just select COM port 3 for my USB DB9. Okay, so I'm hoping that kind of makes sense. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but what I'm telling you, all these steps are on my forum. Go to the interface category, click read this first time setup. I have pictures, I have links to videos, but if you want to watch this video and read along, that's kind of what I'm telling you here. It may not be in the exact same order, but nevertheless, all that info is there with pictures. I documented as best as I could. So just keep that in mind. So now We got a COM port sharing done. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do the USB sound card. Now, the USB sound card does not need a driver, so that's the good news. But what we're going to do here, I want to show you something. If you go to your speaker here and you click on this and you click on here, you can see I just have regular, well, this one right here is because I got it plugged into a monitor. But normally I just had the regular speaker option here. Now, I know some people think, well, why not just use the built-in speaker that their computer has? You could try that, but I haven't had much luck with it for what we want to use it for. It didn't sound very well. Believe it or not, $2.83, I think is what it is, USB sound card sounded better than my built-in sound card for my speakers. So we're going to use the USB sound card. So what I'm going to do is I got a little extension here. I'm going to plug this in. This is my cheap one. Like I said, you don't need an expensive one. I'll plug this in here. Okay, and you can see the green light is on. So now we have it. Probably won't stay there, but that's all right. And I can tidy this up later. I just want to show you how to install this stuff. So now we're going to go back to the computer here. And now if I go down back to the speaker and I click on that, see how it says USB now? So now I got to remember, speaker to USB. That's the one I need when I set up these programs. So let's go ahead and start that. Let's go ahead and do the date and time and weather. Now I'm not going to tell you how to do the weather. That's another video, and you'll need internet for that weather. If you just want date and time, you don't need internet. Now, this particular software, you can do more than just date and time. You can do announcements. You can have it do at the end, after it says it's date and time, you can have it play your call sign in Morse code, like a repeater ID. You can do that. Like I said, I'm not going to get a lot of detail on that because I did other videos on that. But let's go ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to go to COM port, and we're going to select COM port 1, and we're going to make sure these boxes are checked. Do not check this, and check that. So that's what you got to have, COM port 1. Now we're going to hit close. Now we're going to go to the sound card, and you can leave it at let Windows choose its sound card, but I prefer to select it myself. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to USB right here, my USB sound card. We're going to hit OK. And then we're going to go to Save Configurations right here. Now, if you want this to start up when Windows starts, then I suggest you check this. Okay? So then do File, Save Configuration. This way, if you reboot the computer, it's automatically going to start this program. You don't have to worry about, oh, I'm not there to click on it. It's going to automatically start it. Now, what I like to do is, as I said, you can add your own announcements. You could either make a pre-recorded voice, or I've done videos how you can convert text typing into a audio file, and you can save that and have an announcements. Now, this particular software, you can have it doing announcements before the time and date, the header, or you can have it do it as a goodbye message, a announcement. What you could do, you could almost do your repeater ID at the very end. You could do that. Now, if you don't want to use date and time, just don't check it. So this software is pretty handy for this. But what I want to do, and this is the reason why I want to run 3 programs, I want to do my date and time and weather every 60 minutes. So I'm going to leave it like that. But as you know, the repeater should ID itself every 15 minutes. So this is where the COM port sharing software comes handy. Now we can go to the Simplex software. Now what we're going to do, We're going to go to ports. We're going to go to COM port. We're going to select COM port 1. Now we're going to go to port. We're going to do the PTT. We're going to leave it at the first one, PTT equals all that. We're going to leave that all like that. We're going to hit OK. Now, to enable the 15-minute timer to do your repeater ID, we're going to go to configurations. We're going to go to BTEX. And I already did this. I checked this, activate. I selected 15 minutes. I pointed to the path to my call sign, which is in Morse code. You can have your call sign. You can do a pre-recording of your voice saying your call sign if you wanted to, but I prefer the Morse code. So you hit browse. You select your file that has your Morse code or whatever for your call sign. We hit open. We hit OK. And then we're going to go to File. We're going to do Save. Now, we're going to go to Sound Card. Now, you could leave it to choose its own sound card, but I prefer to do this USB 1 or USB or speaker 2 and USB. Hit OK. But you don't have to do it. You can have Windows choose its own. Save. Okay. So now, this is why I like running 3 programs. Now my repeater is going to ID every 15 minutes. It's going to play the date and time and weather if I enabled weather option. Now remind you, weather option does need internet. These two do not. Meaning, if I don't enable the weather option, I can run my date and time, my announcements, if I choose an announcement, every 60 minutes, and my repeater will ID every 15 minutes. You don't need internet for that. You only need internet for weather announcements and for Zello. So, and right here you can see I did it right because you can see that BTEC is on 15. Okay? So now we got that done. So now what we're going to do, we're going to Zello. Like I said, we got to put Zello in gateway mode. Now, before you can start Zello, I'm not going to show you how to create a user or how to create a Zello repeater room. It's pretty easy. You can look on YouTube for other videos on that. But I will suggest whatever computer you're going to be hooking to your repeater, you should make that computer, the Zello name should have something to, you should name it with the word repeater in there somewhere. You don't have to do that. There's no rule or there's no law about it, but it just makes things a little easier if somebody comes to your Zello channel and they see a username, but they're going to know it's a repeater. Because for an example, let's just pick an example. Let's say you live in North Carolina. You should make your repeater name NC repeater. Or if you live in Wisconsin, maybe use WI repeater. If that's taken, you can use underscore characters like WI underscore repeater or dash. I think dash might even work. It'll tell you if it doesn't accept it. But that way people know, oh, that's a repeater. That's not a real person. That's why I suggest doing that. Okay? You don't have to, but that's just a suggestion. So at any rate, once you get your username all figured out, you get your repeater room all set up, now we have to do another step. And that step is we got to add that repeater to the gateway. You got to add that repeater channel name to gateway. I'm going to show you how to do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my heat here. So I'm going to put you on pause here. It's getting a little chilly. I'll be right back. Okay, back. Sorry about that. So now what we're going to do, now we're going to go to Zello. Now we got to set this up. This is after you created a username, a channel for your repeater. But we're going to go ahead and set up Zello. So what we got to do, we're going to sign in. We're going to start Zello. Now, I would suggest that you want to check box this and run when the computer starts up. So that way, if it has to reboot, it will automatically start Zello when the computer starts up, and it will automatically sign in. Okay? So I would suggest you check those boxes when you're done doing this. I'm going to hit sign in. And I already have a repeater test channel, as you saw from my videos. So we're going to go ahead, but we got to put that channel, we got to add it to the gateway. And to do that, we're going to go to my GMRS repeater test. Yours would be your name, whatever repeater you're going to use, your channel. That's where you, but for me, it's this one right here, the GMRS repeater test. I'm going to click on it to highlight it. I'm going to go to Tools, and we're going to create a group, not a channel, a group. We're going to click on that, and we're going to type in Zello Gateway. We're going to hit OK. If you did this right, you'll see it right here. See how it says Zello Gateway 101? That means I did this right. Now, we don't have to do it. We don't have to do that again. Once you do it once, it should save it, and it should be all set to go. Now, I did have one time, I'm going to mention this because it can be hair-pulling frustration. I had it, and I don't know why Zello did this. It was a glitch on their end. I'm not sure what happened. But I had a situation where I would key up the a handheld radio, and it would not key up Zello. It would almost key it up. It would say active, but it would not send. And after pulling my hair out, I end up deleting this and redoing this step, and then it started to work. So I don't know if Zello got corrupted. I don't know what happened. But if that ever happens to you, go in here, select the gateway, right-click it, and hit delete and redo the steps that I just showed you to do. Okay? Now, this next part is very important. A lot of people do this, and they pull their hair out. Why ain't my Zello going to gateway mode? Make sure you exit it the correct way. Do not hit this button. Do not do this. It does not exit. It's going to minimize it and run in the background. And you can sit there all day and edit that Zello file, and she'll never go into gateway. So to exit Zello correctly, you got to go to Status, Exit. And to make sure it's gone, go down to here, click on this, and you should not see Zello running at all in the background. If you do, you did not exit it correctly. And like I said, I've had people pull their hair out. They were doing this. What they were doing this. Let's start up Zello here. They were doing this. We're gonna hit sign in. So they get down their gateway. They're like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to close this. Now I'm going to go to my gateway, and I'm going to edit this file. And no, it won't work. Because see what Zello, want to see what Zello did? There it is. You can't do that. I'm going to hit exit. So make sure you exit the correct way. Again, I'll show you one more time. You get Zello started. We sign in. Okay, we go to Status, Exit. Now we can edit this file. What I'm going to do, because when I open this file, I got to scroll to the bottom, and I don't want my password and all that to be showing. So I got to pause the video. I'm going to open the file, and I'm going to scroll it down to the bottom to show you what to do. So I'll be right back. Okay. So now I double-clicked, because you didn't see me do it, but I double-clicked on this. Remember, we did it so it should open up a notepad automatically. It should go right to this. You scroll all the way down. And right here where it says Zello Gateway Mode, we're going to change that from true to false. And it would help if I used the right keyboard. So we're going to backspace this. We're going to go true. Okay. Now we're going to close this out. This part is very important. When you hit close, it's going to say, do you want to save this? Hit yes. If you don't, then you'll never get in gateway mode. Hit save. So now when I start Zello, if I did this right, it should look like this. That's gateway mode. That's the mode we need to get to the COM port settings. Without putting Zello in gateway, you will never get to the COM port settings. So now we're ready. I'm going to move this over here. We're going to kind of move things around here. I probably don't really need these open, but this is, again, why we need to run the COM port share. I'm running 3 programs that are using the COM port. Now, if you don't need that, you can only run one at a time. You don't need the COM port sharing. Now, we're going to go to Tools. We're going to go to Options. Okay? Now, what we're going to do, there's a couple things that we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Audio. We got to make sure it says USB here. Make sure it does that. Make sure you uncheck mic boost. Put this at about 35 to start with. Put this at about 50. This 0, nothing else checked. Okay? We're going to, and make sure it says USB here. We're going to hit OK. Now we're going to go back to Tools. Go back to Options. Now we're going to go to Radio. And this is where we got to set it up for the COM port for the interface board here. We just got to make sure you select the right ones, and we got to make sure you select the right settings, because this is where people can get kind of confused. So what we're going to do, if you go to this tab right here, TX, make sure you do that. COM port 1, because we're sharing it, it should be RTS high. Now, I didn't change none of this. This is how it should come up, and make sure double check this. Okay? Now we're going to go to the receive part of it. And the receive, again, make sure it's COM port. It should make sure it's 1, because that's the COM port sharing new COM port number. DSR high. We're going to hit OK. And guess what? You're ready to start rocking and rolling. We're set up. That's how simple it is. Now, if you need to adjust your volume, I want to point this out. The software, let me move these over. The date and time volume is separate. So if you think your date and time's way too loud, just turn it down here. It should not affect anything else. Matter of fact, you can go down to here, and if you click on your speaker and you select, oh, I'm already selected right there. See how it's blue right there? So if I go to here, if I put my mouse there, it does say USB. See how it says 59. I must we can adjust that too to about 50. But my point being is this right here does not change the main volume. So you can adjust. Let me show you. You can adjust this as low as you want. See, if I go all the way down, you can see it does not affect it, which is nice, because then you can adjust the loudness on the date and time and weather the way you want it. Okay? Zello too. So if somebody says, let's go back to Tools. Let's go back to Options. Let's go back to Audio. and if you're talking on your radio and they're saying, gosh, you're really loud, then adjust your microphone a little bit. Maybe go 5, like 34. I go down to like 30 in this case, just to kind of get an idea. Okay? Then try it. Okay? If people are talking on Zello, they're using their iPhone, iPad, whatever, Android phone, whatever, and it's coming over your radio kind of loud, then you can adjust this volume here. Go down, like do 5 less. So if it's at 50, try 45. Usually though, from from all the feedback I gotten, everybody seems to be about pretty close to what I told you. I think it's more of a preference on how loud you want things to sound, but this is the settings I use. Maybe I'm old and going deaf or something, but at any rate, that's how you adjust it. So that should be about it. Again, I would check, like I said before about Zello, check it so that like I showed you, that it will start when Windows starts, and it would automatically log in. Now you can see here, it's waiting. That's normal. I don't have the interface board hooked up right now, but all this is set to go. We should be all set. And for that matter, you can do this. Since remember, Zello will run in the background. You don't have to leave it open like this if you don't want to. I think even this right here even this date and time has a option to minimize right here too. So you can do that too. I don't know if this simplex does or not. But again, if you don't need to run all 3 programs, you can run one or the other, then you don't need the COM port sharing software. So it's whatever you want to do. In this case, I don't want my date and time to go off every 15 minutes to do my repeater ID. So that's why we have it separate. We got the date and time and weather every 60 minutes, and then the repeater ID every 15 minutes. So that's the reason to having 2 separate programs. Now, if you don't mind your weather going off every 15 minutes, well, then you can go ahead and just leave it like that. But, then you can go ahead and just run the one program and then just change it to 15. Then have your calls, do like at the end, have it do your Morse code for your repeater ID at the end. You could do it that way too if you wanted to. I mean, any way you want. You got 3 options of running how you want to run it. So, at any rate, I hope this video is helpful. I believe I got everything. I can't remember anything else right now. Again, all this is on my forum under that thread that I mentioned. I'll post that link to that thread also. I don't think I forgot anything. I believe we're all set up. So, at any rate, if you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. Please subscribe. Thank you and have a good day.